their efforts into putting together that visual tribute. Also, a little earlier, when the children's choir was singing, it reminded me that even though I go to the 8 o'clock service, I probably should make an effort to come more often to the 10 o'clock service. The children did a wonderful job. Every veteran has a unique story, but we all have some collective experiences. Each of us took an inviolable oath to defend the country and our Constitution. So help us God. In taking this oath, we gave up some of our individual rights and assumed a yoke of faithful servants. The Marine Corps motto is Semper Fidelis, always faithful. Two simple words that I nevertheless believe convey what it means to serve in any of the armed services. I was asked to speak of my experiences in the military and how that service shaped my Christian walk. That was not a very easy thing to do because I did not have any great revelations in the service, and even in combat, I did not have a foxhole conversion. What I did have was a continuing series of simple witnesses that helped me on my walk, one small step at a time. I think that it tells us that most of us see our walk in Christ not as a sprint, but a marathon. I first joined the Army right out of high school at 18 years old, and after training as an infantryman, I was sent to Korea. In 1964, Korea was a different place than it is now. We think of Korea and we think of how far they have advanced as a society, but in those days there was still a lot of need. It was common for units in the military, not just in Korea, but anywhere overseas, to take a orphanage or a school and kind of adopt it a little bit. And in the pay line at the end of it was a can you help can, which invariably everyone who went through that line would drop in some money, whether it be a quarter or a dollar, whatever they had. And the import of that was, and this time GIs didn't make a lot of money. The starting wage was $78 a month. So from this I took away, from those who have little to those who have less. I'm sure you'll all agree that there is a Christian ethic lesson in this, which I'm happy to say is being replicated here in Christ Church in so many ways and by so many ministries. Semper Fi. After my tour of service, I was discharged, but after 60 days I re-enlisted because I missed the camaraderie of the military. So I re-enlisted for intelligence. Thus I came to Fort Devens. After training, I was encouraged to go to Officer Candidate School, and upon getting my gold bar, I came back to Devens, and here I met the love of my life, and was married at the High Chapel here at Christ Church some 48 years ago. God indeed works in mysterious ways. Now with my new wife following me, I was sent on assignment to Asmara, Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, I was able to, in a formal way, meet Haile Selassie, who was the last Christian emperor in the world. Also in Ethiopia, once again, because there was so much need, I saw that people who, in the service, of all the services, because we were all represented at that post, gave of time, money, and prayers to those around us. There was one experience I remember because it had to do with a cake, a sheet cake. My wife and I went to the rest area that was in Karen, which is right now on the Eritrean South Sudan border, and they had a curfew, but the NCOIC of the center made a sheet cake to take to the orphanage in town. He had made arrangements for us to be out after curfew, but the word didn't get down, and we were stopped by an Ethiopian Army patrol. It was a harrowing few minutes, I can tell you, but I can also tell you that those children love that cake. As an aside, while in Ethiopia, I was privileged to observe the work of a young missionary couple who in faith put their lives on hold to live in the villages of Ethiopia and help to dig wells so that they could have the most basic of all necessities of life, potable water. They also were servants, Semper Fi. I served in Vietnam in 1969, and I was an advisor. And I'm happy that I was an advisor because I was able to live with and fight with the people of that country, and thus I was able to observe that many of my compatriots were Catholics, and they were able to share with me their family's history of fleeing the North at the partition. It's my experiences in Vietnam that I still carry with me today when I read of any of the massacres in the Middle East of Christians and others. My heart goes out to them, and I'm sure yours do too. Now, I served in other places. I served in West Berlin when there was still a wall, which thank God is now down. The people are free. I also served in many other posts in the United States. Bent Hill Farms in Virginia was a small place. In addition to being the principal of the post-kindergarten, I had other jobs. My final one was as a race relations officer for a year. This was in the early 70s when our country was going through some very difficult times with race relations. And I feel that I was able to help in some small way in bridging some of the gaps. I take heart from that, from the problems that we have today that seem so insurmountable. It's not true. if we have our heart in the right place, we can overcome all obstacles. Semper Fi. But now I want to turn to tomorrow. Tomorrow is Memorial Day. It's a time to focus on our fallen faithful who have given their lives for their country and for their countrymen. I would ask that tomorrow at 3 p.m., if each and every one of you would join me in taking a deep breath, looking skyward, and let our hearts speak these words. Well done, good and faithful servants. Semper Fi.